As we get started, drop your hands into your lap and take a deep, slow breath in. And a deep, slow breath out. Maybe close your eyes a little bit and turn your attention inward. Take another deep, slow breath in. And another deep, slow breath out. I was reading a psychologist by the name of Lisa D'Amour. She's a child psychologist, and she said, keep breathing here. She said, perhaps the most important thing that parents communicate to their children is how to be resilient, how to not let stress or difficult experiences, adversity in life make you quit, make you give up, make you hopeless, but instead how to instill in your children the sense that they're strong and that they are resilient. And that's really what yoga is about, reminding ourselves of that fact. And perhaps there's no better thing to encourage that feeling of resiliency than to lower stress. Hover your arms out to the sides a little bit and rotate your palms and your inner elbows up toward the ceiling. And then inhale, take a deep breath in and reach your arms out and up. You might stop with your arms wide, or you might bring your hands all the way together. Exhale, bend your elbows and bring your hands right down the midline and take them out wide again. Deep breathing is your best friend when it comes to lowering stress. So deep inhalations and slow, deep exhalations, whether you're pregnant or you're not pregnant, lowering stress, lowering your blood pressure, finding a little bit of peace and calm in your day can help you not only to remind yourself that you're resilient, whatever adversity you might be facing. You have some good tools for staying buoyant, staying hopeful. And then if you do have children or you're expecting children, the more you can model those tools, the more you can keep yourself calm and focused and clear-headed, the more you can pass that on to the people in your life, whether it's your kids or your other family members or your coworkers. Let's take one more slow exhalation here. And then release your arms down. If you're sitting with crossed legs, change the cross. If you are pregnant, it's helpful to remember that twists are okay in a yoga practice, but not deep belly twists. So I'll show you what I mean. Reach your right arm open to the right. Turn your chin to your right, and then move that right arm back and turn your chest a little to the right, but not your belly. You're not twisting through your abdomen, just your chest, and you're maybe getting a little stretch in your inner arm, inner chest. Turn your chin a little bit farther to the right and take a deep breath in. And then exhale, relax, turn to center, release that arm down, and stretch your left arm out to the left. And take it back behind you a little bit. Turn your chin. Perfectly safe to twist your neck, to twist your chest. But when you start to twist your belly, if you're pregnant, you can restrict blood flow, and you don't want to do that. So you're leaving your belly nice and soft and relaxed. But you are trying to get a little chest opener stretch here, and you'll take a deep breath in there. Feels good whether you're pregnant or not. And exhale. Bring your arm back down, turn to center, and take 3 symmetrical shoulder rolls. And there goes my dog. 3 in the other direction. Good. All right, so let's transition over to hands and knees. And we'll come out of our comfortable seat, and perhaps you put some padding underneath your knees. We're going to come into just a simple tabletop position here. So in your tabletop position, let's try a cat and a cow. Inhale, lift your sit bones and stretch open your belly, but also lift your chest and chin. And as you exhale, lengthen your tailbone, round your upper back, and bow your head down and in. So slowly as you go. Pregnancy can cause a lot of stress and strain on your back as you start to bear a little bit more weight as your baby grows. And having gentle tools for releasing that stress around your pelvis, the base of your spine, your sacrum and tailbone, and then up through your lower back. That's a common area of stress and tension. These pelvic tilts and these little cat-cows that round your back and then arch your back a little bit, moving gently as always, but these are a great tool for starting to alleviate some of that tension. After your next slow exhalation, come to a neutral spine and take your knees out pretty wide, wider than your hips, and bring your big toes close together. And let's try a child's pose. You need to make that space if you're pregnant between your knees, but wide knees can feel good no matter what. Now, can you bow your head down and shift your hips back to your heels? If you can't comfortably because of the size of your belly, if you're pregnant, or because of some resistance in your knees or your hips, how far can you shift back without strain? Maybe just a little bit, pause and breathe. But if you're all the way down and you're comfortable, really deep, slow inhalations and exhalations. Relax your neck, relax your back. This is another good pose for alleviating pelvic and back tension. Take another slow, deep breath there. Good, and then let's come on back up to a tabletop position and bring your knees under your hips. So important to keep your hips strong throughout your pregnancy since your hips are helping your back bear the weight of your baby. Let's do a little hip strengthening exercise. Take your right knee out to the right, we call this fire hydrant pose, and then lower your right knee to hover under your hip, and with a bent knee, take that right knee and right foot up and back behind you like you're kicking up toward the ceiling, and then lower down a little bit under your knee. And let's go as a flow. Inhale out wide and back down under your knee, and exhale up and back. Could be a small kick, could be a big kick. You find what's comfortable for your body. Take a few more rounds, but feel how you're working your hip muscles, your outer hip and thigh, and your glutes, the back of your hip, as well as your hamstrings. Let's try one more round like that. Up and out wide, and then up and back. Good. Now we're going to take a little break from being on our hands, and we're going to kneel, but we're going to lift up so we're standing on our shins. And maybe you need to put a blanket under your knees to get comfortable. Take your hands to your hips, squeeze your upper back, and inhale, a little baby camel. Stretch your chest up toward the ceiling, gentle arch of your back, and exhale, come back to a neutral spine. Relax your shoulders. Then squeeze your shoulder blades again, and inhale, stretch your chest up. Look up if it's comfortable in your neck. Exhale, back to neutral. Try a couple more, but try to lift your pelvic floor muscles. Good, as you curl up and back, and then relax them a little bit as you come out. Try that again. Those pelvic floor muscles, really crucial for everyone, not just pregnant people, but especially as you're pregnant and heading toward birth. Keeping those strong is important. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but first, let's come back to hands and knees. Inhale, we'll fire hydrant, lift your left knee out to the left, and then lower it down under your hip, and exhale with a bent knee. Lift that knee and foot behind you, squeeze your glutes a little bit, and then lower that knee back down. So gently and slowly, keep going with your breath. Inhale, wide knee, and back down under your hip, and exhale. Bent knee kicks up and back down. And keep your neck long and relaxed, and your shoulder blades broad so you're not sagging in your shoulder joints. When you're feeling those outer hip muscles engage as you lift to the side, and the back of your hip engage as you kick up and back. Let's take one more round like that. Good. And then lower down, and let's again stand up on our shins. So you're kneeling. Good. And we're going to this time take a gate pose. You're going to step your right foot out to the right. Bend your right knee. Use the back of your right hand to kind of nudge that knee in line with your ankle so it's not dipping forward. And then inhale, reach your left arm out and up, and we're going to side bend a little bit gently. You might slide your right arm down inside your right thigh a little bit. And then inhale, come back up and give your left arm a little swing, and try it again. Exhale, bring it up and side bend. Good. As your belly grows, these muscles in the side of your waist and around your back and down through your hip flexors will do a lot of work to help you carry that baby that's growing. And as they're working, they will get tight. But really crucial in a prenatal yoga class to be gentle, because your body is already shifting and changing to make room for the baby. You don't need to stretch as deeply as possible. You need to just find a really gentle, comfortable edge for your body. So listen to the feedback of your body. That's our last round here, and we're going to carefully get back down onto that right knee and take our left foot out to the left with a bent knee. Back of the hand to your inner knee. Inhale, reach your right arm up and side bend as you exhale nice and slow on this first round. And then we'll come back up out of the side bend, swing that arm a little bit, and exhale, lean inside. And maybe you're sliding your left arm inside a little bit, that left leg. Trying to keep that left knee in line with your left ankle as you go. And notice that those areas in your body that are stretching, outer hip perhaps, side waist, up to your side ribs. Your shoulder gets a little release as we swing and release some tension in that right arm and right shoulder. Good, all the way down to your hip flexor. Here comes your last round like that. You're doing great. Good. Perfect. And then come on up and let's get back down to our knees. And this time we're going to tuck our toes under and lower to hands and knees and wiggle our knees and our feet wide. So we're going to try a little squat here. Shift your hips back to your heels and see if you can roll to the balls of your feet. Your feet and knees wide there, and for the moment your hands are on the ground. And watch how I'm shifting a little bit side to side. Try that as you shift your weight to the left a little bit. Widen your right knee and open up your right inner thigh a little bit. And as you shift your weight to the right, widen your left knee and open up your left inner thigh. Start to lift your pelvic floor muscles a little bit here. So you're getting a little bit of strengthening for that deep basin of your pelvis, but you're stretching and opening your inner thighs. You're also lengthening your back muscles. Good. Let's take one more round like that. Shifting side to side, as much as is comfortable to. Perfect. And then we're going to put both heels down and with a flat back, slowly come on up to stand. Take your feet under your hips. And we're going to do one more round of camel, but this time standing. So hands on your hips. Squeeze your upper back. Inhale, stretch your chest up. And exhale, come back to a neutral spine. That one again. Inhale, stretch gently. And exhale, back to neutral. Let's try one more round. Inhale, stretch your chest up. And back to neutral. Exhale, drop your arms and give your arms a little swing and start to cross them in front and lift them up a little bit higher as they come up behind you. You may or may not have heard of a very famous midwife whose name is Ina May Gaskin. She sort of wrote the book on home births or natural births. You can slow that swing down of your arms, and we're going to step out a little bit wide. She recommends that pregnant women do 300 squats a day, which is insane in my opinion. However, squatting is really important to get ready for giving birth. Take your hands behind your head. The reason is it really strengthens your pelvic floor, especially. Take a breath in and push your head back into your hands. I'm going to turn sideways just so you see what I do. As you exhale, you're going to tip your butt back a little bit, and then you're going to bend your knees. We don't need to go as deep as possible on this first round, so sink a little bit down, but push your head back into your hands and reach your hips back. So come on back up to straight legs and take a breath in. Lift your posture and then stick your butt out a little bit and sink down. Now maybe you start to sink a little lower this time, maybe not. And you'll come back up with each inhalation. Our hands are behind our head to remind us about our posture. Sometimes when we use our arms somewhere else, we start to round and sort of sag in our posture. So your head is pushing back into your hands. Each time you sink down into your squat, really lift your pelvic floor muscles in and up. Maybe you're sinking into a deeper squat. And your body, your own hip sockets are shaped individually. So if you need to take your knees and feet a little wider or a little narrower, or turn your toes or your heels out a little bit more or a little bit less, you find what works for your body. Let's try 2 more rounds. It's not 300 squats, but you might be grateful that it's not. It's enough to get those muscles working in our thighs and our hips, in our pelvis. Good. Come on up and drop your arms and step your feet back to hip distance apart. Squats really work your quadriceps and your thighs. We're going to do a quad stretch, and if you need help balancing, step over to a wall or a piece of furniture. Pick your right foot up. Hold your right foot or ankle. Pull your heel in gently towards your hip, and you might be holding on to something for support, but if you're standing in the middle of your mat, you might stretch your left arm out to the left. That can help you balance. Good. So breathe for a moment. Slow, deep inhalations and exhalations. Good. Even in yoga, there's some adversity, there's some challenge, just like you may have felt in those squats. It brings your heart rate up a little bit, causes you some eustress or good stress. You got one more breath here. But that reminder, let's bring everything down and give your legs a little shake, your arms a little shake. Just reminding yourself with a deep breath not to let your anxiety rise up unnecessarily. That is such an important tool for you and to pass on perhaps to your baby. So let's pick that left foot up. Left heel pulls in. You might be holding on to a sturdy piece of furniture or a wall with your right hand, or you might stretch your right arm out to the right. And breathe for a moment. Good. Relax your shoulders, but stand up tall in your posture. If you are pregnant, what's going on in your body is shared with your baby. Your blood pressure, your heart rate, your level of joy or peace or calm, or your level of stress is shared. And if you're not pregnant, it's kind of good to remember that our state of mind impacts all the people around us. That's at the heart of yoga. One more breath here. We're all interconnected. And bringing ourselves, let's bring it down, bringing ourselves a little bit more peace and calm affects everybody around us, or maybe within us if we're pregnant. Now, we're going to step out a little bit wide as you can comfortably go. The good thing about squatting is there's many ways to do it. You don't have to do a traditional squat. Lunging or split squatting is also a version of squat. So we're going to do a warrior two. You're going to turn your right foot out to the right 90 degrees. Turn your left foot 10 degrees or so. Bend your right knee and take your arms out parallel to the floor. You want that right knee to track your right ankle and not come past it and not kind of wobble out or in, but stack right over it. And then you're going to lift your pelvic floor. So this is a split squat with one knee bending. It's a side lunge. In other words, your chest is open toward the long edge of your mat or toward the side, and your chin turns over to the right. You're going to drop that left hip a little bit and lift your pelvic floor a little bit more. Take one more deep, slow breath there. Perfect. And then drop your arms, turn, parallel your feet, and let's change sides. Turn your left foot out to the left, 90 degrees. Turn your right foot 10, 15 degrees to the left. Bend your left knee. Take your arms out parallel to the ground. So your stance might be short with your feet closer together, or longer with your feet farther apart. Whatever you choose though, try not to let this left knee kind of stray away from being in line with your ankle. Drop your shoulders, lift your pelvic floor muscles. Lengthen your neck, but your chin is turning to the left, and you're breathing slowly and deeply, trying to drop this right hip a little bit and squeezing in and up through your pelvic floor. Take a deep breath in and out. Drop your arms, turn, parallel your feet. Now bring your feet a little bit closer together, but keep them wider than your shoulders. We're going to take a forward fold, and in any yoga class, if you're pregnant, you want to take wide legs so you have room for your belly. So it's just common sense. Reach your arms up, inhale. And as you exhale, hinge from your hips. You might bend your knees. Take your hands down to the floor. If you can't easily reach the floor, you might take a moment to get your yoga blocks and put your blocks under your hands. If you can easily reach the floor, perhaps your legs are starting to straighten a little straighter. You're lifting your kneecaps a little bit, tightening your quadriceps to stretch out your hamstrings. And you're hinging forward from your hips. If you can, you're bowing your head down. You might shake your head, yes and no, no and yes a little bit, as a reminder to relax your neck. Good. Let's take another deep, slow breath like this, all the way in, all the way out. Good. We're going to kneel down on our mat. So flat back for a moment, inhale, and then bend your knees and gently and carefully, one at a time, kneel down onto your mat. Good. Now, grab your pillow or your bolster and take that in front of your knees the wide way. If you're in my yoga class and you're pregnant, I will always tell you what you should or shouldn't do. But let's say you're practicing on your own or you're in another class and the teacher takes you belly down. You don't want to do that in your pregnancy. It puts too much pressure on the baby. But you can do those poses with your belly hovering if you put a bolster or a pillow under your thighs. Let's give it a try. Bring yourself down into a Sphinx pose, down on your forearms. Your pillow should be under your hips. Not under your hips, excuse me. It should be under your thighs, not under your pelvis so much. And your belly should just be hanging in space. And then in Sphinx pose, you can get a little bit of a back bend here. So you can do what's comfortable with your feet. You could point your toes or you could tuck your toes under. You're stretching out your back gently, especially through your low back, up into your mid back. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Good. Take another deep, slow breath. All the way in, all the way out. Feels good to get a little back bend without putting pressure on your belly. So to get up and out, we're going to get one palm down, the other palm down, and start to walk yourself back up and out and move your pillow off to the side or your bolster. Have a seat on your hips now. Cross your legs with your right shin in front of your left shin. Never a bad idea if you're feeling tight in your body or you want a little bit of extra comfort to bring a blanket fold underneath your pelvis. That will lift your hips and put a little bit of ease in your back and in your pelvis. We're going to try a forward fold here, so take a breath in. And as you exhale with a really flat back, so you're not rounding and compressing in through your belly, but you're flattening and lifting and leaning forward enough to find some stretch for your hips especially. Now, if you're a little bit more flexible and you're not feeling a stretch and you're as deep as you can go with a flat back, then come on back up for a moment and let's try double pigeon instead. Grab that right ankle and pull your right ankle just above your left knee and then try it again with a flat back, hinging forward. You might be staying in your fold with your cross legs and breathing. It might feel good to just gently sway a little bit side to side. If you sway a little with your back really flat, it will shift your weight a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, and you'll get a little bit of a different stretch for that right hip. And you're breathing deeply and slowly. Good. Let's take one more breath here. Perfect. And then bring yourself up to sit. Help your legs to uncross. Stretch them out in front of you. Good. And then take your legs out as wide as they can comfortably go. As wide as they can comfortably go. And then take a deep breath in, and again with a flat back, hinge forward, enough to feel your inner thighs and your hamstrings stretching. And again, you might not go very far, you might just lean into your hands. You want to avoid kind of crunching and compressing, so you're tilting from your pelvis. And then again, perhaps you add a little bit of a gentle sway side to side. Maybe as you sway, you are leaning a little bit off to the right, a little bit farther, maybe even walking your hands to the right and then to the left to get a little bit of a deeper stretch for your inner thighs and for your hamstrings side to side. Relax your neck. Let's take one more round. You certainly don't have to be swaying. If it feels better to your body to stay centered, that is a great option. So now let's bring ourselves up. Help your legs to uncross and stretch them out in front of you. Give them a quick shake. So we'll do our second side cross-legged forward fold in a moment, but I want us to do a little bit of back body work quickly first. So if you're sitting on something, scooch off of it and take your hands back behind you about shoulder distance. Put your palms down, fingertips point forward if you can. Inhale, lift your chest up. Squeeze your upper back and push the mat away with your hands. And then exhale, relax a little bit. And then let's try it again with knees bent. Inhale, lift your chest. If you want a little bit more challenge, you might lift your hips maybe a tiny bit. or up a little higher. See what feels good. Take a breath in, and then lower back down. Lifting hips is optional. Let's try one more round. Lift at least your chest, and then maybe a little lift of your hips. Get your glutes and hamstrings engaged. Tighten your pelvic floor. Take a deep breath in. Lift as high as you like without strain, and then lower your hips back down. Good. Let's sit with our left shin crossed in front of our right shin. And then shake out your hands and fingers a little bit before we do this forward fold. And squeeze your right wrist, massage it a little bit with your left hand and fingers. And squeeze and massage your left wrist with your left hand and fingers. Good. Now maybe you pull a blanket under your hips to get comfortable. Take a breath in. You might already know, as you hinge forward with a flat back, you might already know whether cross legs are enough to give you a stretch for your outer hips, or whether you need to come back up and try something a little bit deeper and grab that left ankle, pull it above your right knee, and then hinge forward from there. So you might be just leaning a little bit. Avoid the urge to bow so deeply that you start to compress your belly. So nice flat back. Just a little bit of a lean can be plenty as long as you're tilting your pelvis to stretch your hips, and perhaps you add a little sway side to side. You're breathing slowly and deeply. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears, and let's take one more deep, slow breath here, all the way in, all the way out. And then bring yourself up to sit. Help yourself uncross your legs, stretch them out in front of you, give them a shake. And then I'm just pulling my blanket under my hips again. We're going to do one more seated forward fold here in a butterfly shape. All of these poses are helpful for making space in the basin of your pelvis, which is helpful when you give birth. So that's why we're focusing on these pelvic stretches and openings. So again, we're going to have a really flat back here, and you might hold on to your shins or ankles. Take a breath in. If you have an inner thigh stretch like this, stay where you are. And if you don't, start to hinge forward a little bit. Again, gentle stretching is really what you need, not your deepest, most aggressive stretches. Leaning forward enough to get those inner thighs opening up at this bent knee, bound angle position. Baddha Konasana, you're breathing deeply. Whenever a sway feels good, sway a little bit side to side. And let's take one more deep, slow breath. All the way in and all the way out. Good. And then bring yourself back up. Help your legs to uncross. Stretch them out in front of you. Give them a quick shake. Good. We're going to do one more quick little reverse plank or hybrid reverse plank. Your hands come back behind you. And this time, if it's comfortable, turn your fingertips back. You'll get a different stretch for your inner shoulders. So inhale, lift your chest up. And that might be all, and that feels good, and stay for a moment. Or exhale, lift your hips like we did a little bit ago. Pelvic floor lifting. Take a breath in again. Maybe lift higher, maybe not. Stay conservative. And exhale, lower back down. So try it again. Lift your chest up. Inhale. And maybe lift your hips a little or a lot. Exhale, tighten your pelvic floor either way. Inhale, lift your chest a little higher. And lower down. Exhale. Try one more. Inhale, your chest lifts a little bit. Exhale, maybe your hips with a little pelvic floor lift. Take a deep breath in. And lower down. Exhale. Good. Have a seat comfortably for a moment, and again, squeeze your right wrist and squeeze your left wrist. Good. And then I'm going to get you set up for a supported reclined position. If you're pregnant, you don't want to lie flat on your back, especially after, week 20 to week 22. And so you can, however, especially if you have a nice firm pillow or a bolster, you can give yourself a little bit of a lazy boy experience. You want to grab a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, use a couple of pillows. And we're going to build those blocks up. I've used one block at the tall height at the farthest end, and then one block at the medium height. And I'm angling that bolster back so that as I recline on it, my head and heart are much higher than my hips, not flat on my back. The reason you don't want to be flat on your back is the baby can compress the vena nerve, the vagus nerve in there, and you'll know it will cause you some nauseousness, some nausea, or some discomfort, dizziness even. So let's give this a try. Now you could grab a blanket to use as a pillow and take it to the back edge of that bolster or pillow and lower yourself back. And we're going to come on back with bent knees here. If your arms don't touch the ground and they're kind of dangling and that's uncomfortable, put a blanket under each one of your arms. But if they do touch the ground and you're comfortable like that, great. Now with your bent knees, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, relax your back. Make sure you're comfy. If you're not comfy, you could spend your Shavasana seated comfortably, maybe leaning back against a wall. Okay, but if you are comfortable, one of my pregnant students told me that her favorite thing to do, especially close to delivery, was to lie in bed like this, elevated, and then with really wide knees to lift her feet, hug her knees in, and rock a little bit. And it gave her really nice massage for her lower back. So give it a try. Take one more slow, deep breath there, with or without hugging your knees in and wide. And then we're gonna relax for Shavasana. Now for you, that might mean stretching your legs out straight. It might mean you need to grab another pillow to tuck behind your knees if you feel any strain in your pelvis. Or you might even like to come into a butterfly shape. Okay, so get settled and comfortable. And relax. Take a deep, slow breath in. Take a deep, slow breath out. And then again, a deeper, slower breath in. Feel your chest rising, feel your belly lifting a little bit. Deep, slow exhalations. Relax your belly. Relax your lower back. Each time you exhale, it's another chance to let go of a little bit of stress, a little bit of tension. Each time you exhale, relax your chest and shoulders and your shoulder blades back into that bolster or pillow behind you. Relax your arms, your hands, your fingers. Relax the back of your pelvis where it rests on your mat. And relax your legs. Relax your ankles. Relax your feet. Relax your toes. Feel your breath moving in through your nose and out through your nose. And relax the muscles in your face, especially relax the hinge of your jaw. Relax your third eye, the space between your two eyes. Relax your eyeballs and your eyelids. Relax your eyebrows and your forehead. Relax the crown of your head. Relax the back of your head. Inside your head, visualize your brain relaxing. Gently resting back into the back of your skull. As you breathe, remind yourself that you are resilient. Whatever stress or challenges you face, you have the tools to stay calm. To keep that calm, clear, peaceful center that will help you move forward one breath at a time through whatever challenges lie ahead. Notice how good it feels just to rest and to breathe. Now take a deep breath in through your nose and sigh it out through your mouth. And start to wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit. And if your knees are bent and wide, draw your knees together, stretch your legs out straight. Take your arms up overhead and stretch out. Take a deep breath in again and gently sigh it out through your mouth. And bring your arms down. Bend your knees, get your hands close to your sides, and press yourself gently up to a seat. And once you make it all the way up, sit up tall. One more time, inhale, stretch your arms wide this time, and exhale, hands to your heart. Namaste.